Yes, we're back. It's Chasing Green Arrows. It's Friday. It's a deadline ahead of our reminder for 3 game weeks to go. I'm Gianni Batici, and I'm joined by regular co-hosts on a Friday, Mr. Dean Jones first up in San Diego. Dean, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's 6 a.m., so I'm a little blurry-eyed. But I'm here. I'm always proud of myself when I'm here at 6 a.m. because the old me would never, ever have turned up for this. I can promise you. But
it's quite an achievement. To be fair, like many that get up at 6 a.m., myself included, that's one thing. But streaming live at 6 a.m. is very different, isn't it?
It's so different. Yeah, I mean, I'm usually awake around 6:30 generally because I've got kids. But yeah, it suddenly you're thrown out there, and I mean, who knows how many people are going to be watching? Hopefully thousands are going to be watching today. But excuse me if I look a little tired. I'll wake up in about 2 seconds. 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. I've got a cup of tea here. We're all good. Let's go.
Oh, I love that. Big man, how are you, mate? Big man, former world number 4 big man backer from Pakistan. How are you, mate?
Hello, Gianni. Hello, Dean. Hello, welcome to all the listeners viewers. I'm doing all right. Yeah, I mean, I would be unable to wake up at 6 a.m. I mean, I must salute Dean for his commitment to the show. It's honestly incredible. I mean, I used to wake up at 6 a.m. during my school days, but I mean, those were moons ago. So I've almost forgotten how to wake up that early. So yeah, I mean, it just shows his commitment to the show.
Yeah, love that. And we've got a lot of commitment in the chat as well. Our chasers are with us as always. Shout out Freddie and Russell and Heather, who's listening at work. Good to see so many of our regulars in the house. If you've got questions, get them in. We'll answer some at the end of the show. Today is about our teams. We're going to be showing all of our teams. We're going to show our captaincy options. We're going to show our transfers. And it's a very active week in the community. Managers are using transfers. We are split on captaincy. There is lots to discuss, so do not go anywhere for the next 55 minutes. We'll also be rounding up all of the key takeaways from the press conferences. Big man, what are the main headlines in FPL this week in terms of direction we're going? What are people talking about?
I think Mateta is very popular. A lot of people are looking to move him on, possibly for Wood, Wissa, Evan Nelson. All these guys are very popular in the community, and I think it makes for a reasonable debate. Apart from that, I see a lot of people are fairly set on Mbomo captain. I don't think captaincy is a huge debate this week, personally, especially given Marmoush blanked last week, given how Salah's returns have dried up. I don't think a lot of people will be going away from Mbomo this week. For my team, I'm actually facing quite a big dilemma, and it's actually interlinked with a lot of discussions that we're going to have. So I'm quite looking forward to the discussion tonight, because I'm sort of in a situation where there are quite a lot of things which will influence my transfers this week.
Love that. Dean, let's before we know more about your team, let's open that discussion on the budget forwards that Big Man alludes to, because Wissa is, I think, one of the most transferred in players this game week. And I want to address both Wissa and De Bruyne in the next 5 minutes, 2 very popular buys, but we also have to talk about Erling Haaland in that conversation. So let's get to Man City in a minute, and let's start on Yoane Wissa. He's produced a 7 and 9, I think another 9 and an 11, like in the last 4 game weeks. He's absolutely flying. Managers are selling good forwards to buy what they think is a better forward. Managers are selling Isak, they're selling Marmoush, they're selling Mateta especially to get Wissa in. I'm supportive of that idea. How do you feel about it? Is Wissa someone you're buying and you're seeing others buying, and why?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got Wissa at the moment. I've got Mbomo. I'm scared of not owning him. Same for De Bruyne, to be honest. I don't have him either. I could take a -4 and I could get both. I've not taken barely any -4s across this season. It's been something that I've been quite active about trying to change about the way I play the game. Not trying to take too many hits. And it's worked out quite well so far. But yeah, a little bit scared of what Brentford could do to Ipswich, who are not particularly good at home. Their recent fixtures, lost 4-0 to Arsenal at home, lost 2-1 to Wolves at home, lost 4-2 to Nottingham Forest at home, lost 4-1 to Tottenham at home, even lost to Southampton 2-1 at home. That worries me. That worries me not having Wissa. Now, obviously, I brought in Jamie Vardy last week, and it paid off. But I knew that it was risky this week, Jamie Vardy doesn't have a great fixture. Now,
Yeah.
this week, Jamie Vardy does have a good fixture, and I would quite like to play him. But, what do I get Vardy out this week and Wissa in and then swap him back next week? I don't like doing that. I don't think I've ever done, literally, out, in, out, in. But the only other option I'd have is Isak or Marmoush to get out of my team, which, Isak I don't have to have, but yeah, a strange one for me at the moment, and I haven't made my transfer, and I'm very much up in the air. Mark's like, Dean contemplating 2 Brentfords. Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a first. I've never had 2 Brentford players in my team, and I've never wished success on that club.
And they play Fulham next week. Brilliant.
Yeah, they do play next week, and I'm quite fearful of that game too.
Big man, we'll get to Marmoush and Man City and Haaland and De Bruyne in a couple of minutes, and then we'll do some press conference news, guys, so stay with us. But just to continue on Wissa for you, big man, because he's not in your team, are forward transfers around Vissa's price point on your radar this week, and how do you feel about him? Because if you look at the content creator template, they've all got Isak, they've all got Marmoush, they've all got Mateta. You actually don't have Mateta. Where are you at there? And do you think Wissa will be coming in?
It's a tricky one. I don't think Wissa will be coming in this week, and I actually am quite fearful of his potential. Like Dean was mentioning how Ipswich have struggled this season, I would also like to mention and point out Brentford's record against the promoted teams this season. So Brentford's fixtures against the promoted teams this season: they played Southampton at home, they won 3-1. They played Ipswich at home, they won 4-3. They played Leicester at home, they won 4-1. Then they played Southampton away, they won 5-0. Then they played Leicester away, they won 4-0. And now they're playing Ipswich away. So clearly there's a pattern there that they've been a really, really strong side. So Mbomo is pretty much locked in as my captain for these very reasons. And as much as I'd like to have Wissa, I don't think that I can sell Isak or Marmoush this week. If Marmoush is playing Southampton, or Isak at home to Chelsea is a reasonably good fixture for Newcastle, and I would still expect him to get some sort of returns. So I don't exactly feel the need to bring Wissa in when my forwards are all right. In fact, I'm benching Rodgers this week, so if I'm benching someone of Rodgers' caliber, it suggests that my attack is kind of all right. So Wissa is someone I might potentially look at later, but yeah, not this week for me.
Fair play. You mentioned there those big wins for Brentford against newly promoted teams. In those games, and Burmo averages about 12 points a game in those games, and Wissa actually averages 9 points a game. So both brilliant picks, and Burmo even more of a flat track bully, but big chance Brentford will bully these football teams, and I expect a big scoreline this weekend again. Okay, that's enough on Brentford attackers. This is great. Look how structured we are. For our producer who's now doing timestamps, this is lovely. Minute 1 to 3 introduction, 4 to 11 Brentford attack and Wissa. Will you own Wissa? There is a poll up. We're going to move on though, and not be able to respond too much to that because we want to go into Man City. But so far, early indications suggest 75% of you will own Wissa this game week. So both Dean and Big Man might be against the crowd there, which will be interesting. Let's talk Man. Yeah, exactly. Let's go on to Man City, shall we? Because De Bruyne is a big talking point this week. Marmoush is a big talking point this week. But Erling Haaland maybe is central to that whole wider discussion. Now, we will likely get starts from... Geddy's just said, breaking, Erling Haaland is fit to start for Man City against Southampton. What was Pep's exact quote, please, Geddy? Let us know. Obviously, Pep Guardiola, whether he says fit to start, doesn't mean he is starting. We know this is Pep. Pep has never told us who starts and who doesn't. But we know he's had a full week of training. We know he was in the squad last week, didn't get off the bench. If we get a leak, and they are one of the teams we'll get a leak for because they're in the early games, if we were to get a leak that Erling Haaland is starting against Southampton, do you rip your team up to bring him in? That's the big question. Now, I'm going to say early, I don't think you do. Because if he starts game week 36, that means he's fit enough to start the FA Cup final. And if he's going to start the FA Cup final, he ain't going to play 37 because 37's 3 days later against Bournemouth. So I'm going to suggest, yes, you could have him for 36, great. But just know, If you're ripping your team up for 36 to get Haaland in, because he's starting, there's every chance he doesn't start in 37. Dean, I'll come to you first on Haaland.
It's just so much money, isn't it? I don't think there'll be that much need to go there. I think it really affects the De Bruyne pick, though, as to whether you go Haaland. Because the reason that De Bruyne kind of thrived last time out for me was the system that Man City play. It's like a 4-2-2-2 now that they've been testing out. And obviously last week they had the thing where the forwards were kind of split out wide and Marmoush was out on the right. It left a lot of space centrally for De Bruyne to attack. And he seemed to enjoy it. And the centre-backs didn't enjoy it, as we talked about before, because they didn't have anyone to mark. They didn't have anywhere to go. Now, if Haaland comes back into the fold, they can't play that setup. You know, Haaland's not going to split the centre-backs and go out and play on the full-back's shoulder at all. So that system would have to change slightly. Given that it had success last time out and given you could confuse Southampton by doing it, I don't know. I don't know how much they would need to bring Haaland in. Also, confirmed that he could start, but he hasn't been off the bench yet. Reasonably unusual for a player to just come straight back in like that. And it's only Southampton, so you don't really need to risk it. Quote up on the screen right now. He's ready.
I hope that's accurate. I've just found that, and I think it's accurate. The chat can let us know. But yeah, Dean, this is what I think Pep has just said.
Yeah, fair enough. You kind of need to take in the whole context of the question and the way that he says it. I'm like imagining him in my head the way that he's said it and like throwing his arm, like nodding his head as he's throwing his hand like this, and talking about Haaland like he does. But like you say, there's a cup final on the horizon. I'd say if there was like, how many goals is he behind Mo Salah? 6 or 7?
Good question. I have no idea.
He's not going to catch him, I'm pretty sure. Let me check.
Because if there was like...
Yeah, go on, big man, have a look.
Haaland wants the golden boot, doesn't he? Like that's what he's it. That's what
there's 2 in it, there's a chance. But if there's more than 4 or 5 in it, there's not really.
It's 7. It's 7. 28 versus 21.
So he needs to score 4 against Southampton to have a chance of winning the golden boot. So he might be pushing Pep for that start because you know that's how Haaland is. He's going to want the personal accolades as well as an FA Cup winners medal at the end of the season. So
do you reckon I don't know. Starts? Gun to your head. Do you reckon he starts? I'm going to say no.
The thing that makes me wonder though is because Marmoush hasn't been like that great. Like that's the other side of this. It's not like Marmoush is guaranteed to score for them. But then I guess you've got Haaland to bring off the bench. I'm going to say
he's only
no.
Southampton. They can beat Southampton without Haaland.
I'm going to say no, and you can bring him off the bench. Yeah, but I do now I'm thinking about the fact that Haaland will want a hat trick against Southampton to give himself half a chance of getting the golden boot. Then maybe it's more feasible than I expected. But what is he? Is he still 14.1 million or whatever?
You have to make. The big surgery you have to make is you've got to sell Salah. So you've got to sell Salah and take a 4-point hit, probably for most managers.
That's not worth it.
And Salah's got good, Salah against Arsenal at home is fine. Salah on the final day at home to Palace when he lifts the trophy, you want him in your team. And then, big man, where are you on this? Haaland, if you hear he starts, will you be bringing him in?
I don't think so. Firstly, I think a lot of people are in this position where they don't exactly have the funds. They only have one free transfer at their disposal. I fall in that category, and I believe a lot of other people use their transfers to bring in Mbeumo last week. A lot of people were on free hit the week before. So I don't think a lot of people have that luxury. And it's fine because, as mentioned earlier, I think Mbeumo is an equally capable captain this week. Even if Haaland starts, the risk of an early sub is going to be pretty high. And as you mentioned, the risk of him not starting in 37 is going to be another headache to bear. So even if you commit, let's say, harakiri and major surgery in your team to bring him in this week, and he's your captain, then game 37, you find yourself in trouble again. So I just don't think it's worth the hassle, irrespective. I mean, the only thing that would change for me with the news of Haaland starting is that, for example, if I still had my free hit in hand, I would be more tempted to play it because Haaland as a differential captain on a free hit would be, lovely against Southampton. But apart from that, for most teams, I don't think it should make any difference.
Yeah, it's a really good point. What do you guys think to my point? Big man, I'll ask you first about if he does start 36, it means he's going to be fit enough to start the FA Cup final, right? And if he starts the FA Cup final, he ain't starting in 37, is he, big man? Surely not. Like, he's not going to play 2 starts or 3 starts in 8-9 days when he's been out for 2 months.
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely. Either he doesn't start this week or either he doesn't start in 37. I think it's going to be one of the 2 cases.
Yeah, which begs the question, even with a team leak that he starts, why rip up your team if in 37 you're going to have him benched?
Yeah, and also, let's not forget, he hasn't been, electric. Obviously started the season brilliantly, and we were all like, oh my God, we do need Haaland and Salah this season. But since game week 5, he's only got 2 double-digit hauls. That's not that good. And that for me definitely isn't worth ripping up your team and taking a -4 if he's only going to get 12 points anyway. You've just taken 4, so you've got 8 points off him. Nah, not for me. Not at that price point either. 14.8 million. I thought it was 14.1. I've forgotten. 14.8 million to get Haaland in. No chance. No chance.
Let's talk now about De Bruyne and Marmoush then, because let's not assume that if Haaland comes in and starts, Marmoush drops out. And I think all but one of the starts Haaland was fit for, they started together. Marmoush started every game bar 1, I think, when Haaland was fit. They're very likely both in the same 11. There is always at the back of my mind that worry with Pep that he could throw a spanner in the works. There's also that worry that De Bruyne could come out the 11 if Haaland is in it, because De Bruyne has been playing in one of those attacking spots, and that's one fewer attacking spots. Does that put De Bruyne at risk? I think I need a leak to captain De Bruyne. If De Bruyne is leaked to start, I'd probably captain him. If he's not, if there's no news on De Bruyne, I probably don't risk it, just in that 20% chance that De Bruyne doesn't start. But it does also make me worry for those that are out there buying De Bruyne this week. De Bruyne is one of the most transferred in players, if not the most transferred in of the game week. I've not looked, but I think it's him and Wissa, top 2. Is it slightly risky bringing De Bruyne in now? Yes, very likely to start versus Southampton. But 3 days after the FA Cup final, if he does start the FA Cup final against Bournemouth, does he start or does he get a cameo? It will be his last game at the Etihad, by the way, 37.
He's definitely starting that one. There's no way he's not starting the last game at the Etihad.
And then comes off early for a standing ovation, do you reckon?
Yeah.
After being given a penalty or something.
Yeah. You want him for that, the Man City Bournemouth game. I can see the pull of that. But with this cup final on the horizon, do we consider now then that De Bruyne is back in City's strongest 11, given that he's captain and started the last 5 games you've got in the Premier League? You've got to assume that means that Kevin De Bruyne is teed up to start the FA Cup final. And with that in mind, is he getting 90 minutes against Southampton this weekend? He's not. He's not getting 90 minutes against Southampton.
Is he getting an hour? Semi-final though. That was a worry for me as an owner. Why was he not in City's first?
I don't know.
And Lewis makes a good point. But KDB, Marmoush, and Haaland have never been fully fit at the same time. And again, that's they probably have for 1 or 2 games. But it's a good point. We haven't seen consistently these 3 available and how Pep wants to line up. Oh, big man, where are you at with De Bruyne? And then let's move on to Marmoush.
I think he's a great differential to have this week. I see a lot of people are looking to bring him in. He is just that kind of differential you sort of need to make or break your season, essentially, because if you're, for example, trailing your rival by 15, 20 points, then I like De Bruyne as a differential. I'm personally not looking at him because I don't see the need for myself to pick a midfielder. For example, I can do Eze to De Bruyne, but I think the Palace Mets have good potential against Spurs this week. I think Spurs will rest and rotate, and I do think that Glasner would want to keep the rhythm before the cup final, as it's still almost a week away. And I'm expecting Palace to put up a strong performance. So I don't exactly see the need to do Eze to De Bruyne, but yes, De Bruyne for sure has big potential this week.
Yeah, they've never started together. No, I don't. I think they may have been available once or twice though, Lewis, together. I'm sure De Bruyne has been benched a few times with Marmoush and Haaland in the 11, but yeah, neither here nor there, I guess.
I've got to say, G, by the way, and while we're talking about Man City, like I know, like we talked at the start, Big Man mentioned everyone's going to be captaining Burmo and blah blah blah, but I might captain Gvardiol.
Oh, do you like the fact? Did you like what you saw in the last game, the last 20 minutes when he was? At
I
left
just
back,
think
and
like, yeah,
I did not see that coming.
I've said I've got to do something different, a little bit different each week.
If you
could get a goal, should keep a clean sheet, I like to think. And yeah, I've just got like Vardy was my attempt at doing something different last week, and it gave me a small green arrow. This week, you're playing bench boost, say a few other people will be doing that too. I don't have any chips. Like I could just go and Burmo like everybody else, but who cares if I'm like getting? There's no point me just kind of sitting the same as everybody else right now. I've said before, like nobody's remembering whether I came 200k or 300k, but for me to end up heading to in the top 200k, I'd be happy with that.
Hat-trick.
Yeah, so I think I'm genuinely considering that Gvardiol captain.
Oh, I like that. I mean, he did play left back for the last 20 minutes. What we've seen now is Akanji is back fit. If Akanji is fit, does Akanji come in at centre back alongside Diaz? And if he does, where does that leave Gvardiol? Well, it leaves him at left back. Instead of the kid, he could be playing Gvardiol. And what we saw at the end of last season and early this season, Gvardiol at left back is a very different FPL proposition to Gvardiol at centre back.
He won't be rested, will he?
No, well, he doesn't seem to ever get rested.
He doesn't, but there's always that small fear. Like,
there is. But I guess the benefit of rests at Man City this season that they're fewer and far between because there's no Champions League football. No midweek means they're fresh every week and they don't need it, and they probably just need that momentum in their legs. So fella says, what is Gianni's location with his current workload today? I'm at the Premier League, fella. That's the foyer. I just looked down there. If you saw me looking down, I could see someone walking from the car park, and I was like, I think that's Clinton Morrison. And then when Big Man was talking, you probably thought I was being really rude because I was doing that to look down, and I had a nice aerial shot of Clinton. So yeah, Clinton is in the building, which is quite cool.
Big Man didn't like my captain choice, as Lewis said. He's left the stream.
Well, Amateur likes it. He says, I'm captaining Gvardiol back at left back, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm going to try and make some checks. So I'm going to maybe speak to a City reporter. I might message one of the lads that I know that reports on City just to see what they think about his potentially getting left out. But as you say, it's unusual for Gvardiol not to play. And Man City have still got stuff on the line here. It's not like this is just a run-of-the-mill Premier League game. Like they're trying to catch Arsenal, whether Pep admits it or not. They are 3 points behind them. Arsenal are going to play against Liverpool, and who knows what mental state Arsenal were in for the last 3 games of the season. If Man City can finish this season in second place and with the FA Cup and then go to the Club World Cup, this suddenly starts to look like a season that's totally fine, not the disaster that it's been for most of the time. So I would expect that I'm going to be okay with that, and that Gvardiol will play, even though Taylor says, didn't Pep say he made a mistake with Gvardiol at left back? I didn't see that quote, but I'll check it out.
I didn't see that quote. I'd be surprised. I mean, he looked amazing in the last 20 minutes when he came on at left back, so I'd be very surprised at. Okay. We said we'd touch on Marmoush. I just want to add, in fact, let's get Big Man's thoughts on Marmoush. Big Man, where are you at? Some are captaining him this week. Some are selling him this week. He's a very dangerous sell versus Southampton, isn't he? Even if he does play on that right-hand side, which we don't like. We didn't like him on the right, did we? But where are you at with Marmoush? Because I think you could sell him next week, but not this. And would you consider captaincy?
I don't think he's a sell this week. I think he's a good hold, because if City beats Southampton 4 or 5-0 and he gets, let's say, even if he gets to play like 20 minutes as a striker at the end, he should be good for a return. Even if he's playing on the right initially, there's a good chance of a sizable haul there. I mean, it's not something which is beyond the realms of possibility. So I think he's definitely worth keeping this week. He hasn't really shown explosive potential this season, which is why I don't think I will be trusting him in the armband. He's been consistent, but we haven't really seen those double-digit hauls from him. So I don't exactly look at him as a captaincy option. I haven't captained him at all this season, actually. whether or not he will be a hold for the rest of the season is something I'm considering, and something which will actually influence my moves when I come to them. And I'm not sure I can figure that out, because there is a world where he could be worth keeping for the rest of the season. There's a world where he could be a sell by game week 37. I don't know exactly. I'm actually very curious to hear both of your thoughts regarding that, because with Haaland back, I'm not exactly sure. But then again, as you mentioned, G, if Haaland isn't starting in 37, which is 3 days after the FA Cup final, there's a chance that Marmoush does, which makes him a hold. But these sort of things are difficult to guess, because we won't exactly know what happens in the final either way, because it's after the deadline as well. So that will make things very difficult to assess. And that's exactly what I'm sort of struggling with this week. But yeah, this week I think he's an easy hold. But because my transfers are sort of dependent on whether or not I feel that Marmoush is a hold for the rest of the season, I have been strongly deliberating it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure currently.
It's a really good point about the FA Cup final taking place after the deadline for 37. We go into that Bournemouth fixture not knowing what has happened, or into that 37 deadline not knowing what's happened in the FA Cup. So it'll be really twitchy. If you own De Bruyne or you own Marmoush, you own Haaland, you might watch the FA Cup and see an injury, or you might see them get 120 minutes and then worry about their minutes. Again, it's another reason probably not to buy.
The weird thing about City is that they just don't have that many assets to choose from, even though we're all anticipating like a 3, 4, maybe 5 goal haul from them in this Southampton fixture. Like, we don't know who's going to play, who's going to be good. Like, outside of Marmoush, there's not really any options. Like, is anyone going to go Doku? Not really.
Well, De Bruyne is getting a lot of love.
No, De Bruyne, that's what I mean. So he's the only other option you can go for outside of that. And he's almost 10 mil. And that's one of the reasons to go there, because he's more of a sure thing. And to be honest, even before going to Doku, I'd be like, is Kovacic or Gundogan playing? Because I quite fancy them to score, to be honest. Doku, you never really know what you're going to get. And it's probably an assist, if anything. And I think that's one of the things. Like Jack Grealish, you'd like to think could be a good asset for a fixture like this, and he's not. He's not a good pick. But that's why a lot of people will be holding on to Marmoush, because you want some influence in that City attack, even though you don't fully trust that he's the guy that the goals are going to come through. So I think that's what has made things more tricky. I mean, if it was a straight pick out of De Bruyne and Marmoush and money was no object, who would you go with? Like, if there's somebody out there right now who's like, oh, I can make a transfer, but I can't get one City guy in. Who would you pick?
Gvardiol. He's the only one I can safely say is going to get 3 starts in the next 3. I love De Bruyne as an option. I captained him last week, and I'll probably captain him this week. I still can't say I'd be buying De Bruyne this week. It's a financial point, but it's a transfer out waiting to happen. I fully know De Bruyne will not be in my game week 38 team. He'll be sold. I'll probably go to Saka. So just know if you're buying De Bruyne, there's a chance you might have to sell De Bruyne. Let's see. There is a poll up and running. Fella says Foden. No, behave. Guys,
I'd forgotten about. I didn't even mention him, did I?
Yeah,
How he is that?
Got a man, and rightly so. He's rubbish in FPL.
That's crazy, isn't it? Like the season that he's had. Like we're not even discussing Foden as an asset for Southampton away.
Guys, I think our button might be stuck, but I've not been able to read any of De Bruyne's numbers because our subscribe button's been up constantly flashing. We haven't asked you. I think it's stuck. I'm pretty sure it's stuck. We haven't been able to ask you actually today. We're 30 minutes into the stream to like and subscribe. So that is a reminder. That button has been a reminder to us. So thank you. To subscribe. We are 51 subscribers away from 10K. Guys, if you've been watching Chasing Green Arrows for a while, I hope you agree with us that we're so keen to get to 10K. We hope we deserve 10K. We want you to show your appreciation for the channel. If you're a lurker, consider getting a comment in the chat, subscribing to do that, hit the like button, come and join our community. Good to see so many of our regulars in the chat. And let's move on away from KDB or Marmoush and get to our team selections, because that is why you are all here. So, team selection time. As we're loading Dean's team, big man, I want you to have the final word because you cut off. Your final thoughts on Man City and where you're at with them.
I mean, I think Gvardiol is the only one who's nailed to start all the rest of the fixtures. You're mentioning KDB and Marmoush. Which one would I pick if given the choice? I think I would probably lean KDB, assuming that price isn't an object, which obviously it is. There's also the fact that it's actually tricky to answer because there are still plenty of mids that are alike, and there's still some of the forwards that are like. For example, Wood and Wissa have now emerged. They weren't exactly realistic options a few weeks ago, but now at this point in time, I think both of them are really strong owns for the rest of the season. So it's one which is tricky to answer. But then again, it does come down to risk appetite. If you're chasing, then going for someone like a De Bruyne could make sense. Coming to Dean's team, I mean, I think Captain Mbeumo was fairly straightforward this week. If Southampton score a fluky goal, then it's kind of all up in flames, really. So I don't think I would advocate going for Gvardiol as a differential.
I'm chasing a green arrow. I'm chasing a green arrow.
Yeah, but I mean, I think still, even if you are, I think there are better plays than going for Gvardiol personally. I mean, I think I would be more tempted to go for, let's say, Salah or Marmoush, because very few people will be captaining them.
Maybe I think quite a few might captain Marmoush, but yeah, I take your point. I don't want to captain Salah like that. I'm just not really interested in him at the moment. I've had enough of him. I don't like my team this week though. It's a week when there's not really weeks when I really don't like where I'm at, and I'm looking at it and I'm just like I'm just kind of stuck with it this week. I've got nothing. It's probably the worst planned I've been for a game week in terms of I've only got one free transfer, haven't got any chips. Yeah, I just wasn't putting myself in a good shape for this one. So I don't like probably 4 of the picks, maybe even 5. But I've got to suck it up. I've got to suck it up and just hope that like Rodgers delivers. I've got to like Munoz. I don't even know what we're getting out of Munoz this week with the cup final on the horizon. But hopefully Tottenham are rubbish. Isak, I don't mind Isak. I think that Isak will score against Chelsea, so I'm still happy with him. And like Vardy, do I play him? Like I'm keeping him for next week, but like is that to my detriment? You know, like is this really dumb?
One of the reasons why you bought Vardy was to have him for the Ipswich and Southampton fixtures, and
yeah,
I don't think I would let one fixture put you off. And I mean, I wouldn't be totally surprised to see Leicester score against Forest actually. So
yeah,
I think I would keep him.
Yeah, I'll have to hope for the best then and hope that he surprises. I think it'll be his record goal or whatever tomorrow. It's like a landmark. He's 1 goal away from like a landmark strike or something. So
yeah,
China says Vardy wants 200 goals. Play him. Yeah, so I'll hope for the best in that one. I mean, that really is a punt. Rodgers at Bournemouth, yeah, I don't really fancy that one. But
you can even
where we are. I mean, is there any of those bench players that you would play instead of somebody else? Is there anything that I'm being blind to? Is Raya a good goalkeeper choice? Probably not really. I've got a free transfer to use.
I think having 2 free transfers next week will be lovely for you. I'd roll, but I do wonder if even Saka could be benched. You probably keep Saka in, and Kirkez over Livramento is a bit of a coin toss. We'll check out the odds in a minute for that. The Bournemouth clean sheet versus the Newcastle clean sheet odds. Kirkez better for attacking returns, it has to be said, than Livramento. So let's have a look at those clean sheet odds in a minute. But yeah, happy with that, Dean. Dean, I'm going to push you on captaincy in about 10 minutes time. We'll do our teams and then we'll do captaincy because I think it's a proper discussion this week. And I think all 3 of us might go different. Big Man mentioned at the top of the show, everyone's going to go in Burmo. I'm not so sure. We'll do a poll now and then we can react to that poll in 5 minutes. Who are you captaining this game week? Let's just give a few options. And Burmo, let's just put Man City attacker, Mbeumo, and Salah. 3 options. I think they're the 3 main ones.
No Gvardiol.
Realistically.
Yeah, we could pick Isak for our 4th option. Holly Shand is captaining Isak. I've been with her this morning. Okay, cool. Big Man's team. Let's see it. That poll in the chat is who are you captaining? If you've just joined, those 4 names are in relation to the question, who are you captaining this game week? We're not asking you for who's got the best hair.
Yeah, so this is my team. As Dean mentioned that he doesn't exactly like his team this week. I don't exactly like my team that much either, but I'm not beating myself about it because this is what I've sort of set myself up for the blanks and doubles. And obviously I realized that, I've gained what I had to gain. I've been on 11 green arrows. So at this point in time, I'm only looking to consolidate my rank. I'm currently in the top 50K for the first time this season.
One. Where are you at, big man?
So I'm 47K. The first time I entered
gain.
into the 50K. So I've made some big gains in recent weeks, but now obviously I don't exactly like my team. So I have to find ways of consolidating my rank and hoping that I end up where I am. I think the attack looks all right. In fact, I'm benching Rodgers this week. Whenever I've benched him, he's had a sizable score. It's been a recurring theme this season. So if I was a betting man, I would put some money on Rodgers to score assists this week. That's almost inevitably going to happen. And Bournemouth is going to be my captain for the reasons mentioned earlier. I now have 2 options. You can see the defense in it. It's not exactly great this week. So currently, I have no plans on playing an Arsenal defender. I'm fairly sure that Liverpool score and Arsenal's clean sheet odds are actually worse than Newcastle and Aston Villa. So I have double Arsenal defense on my bench. Now, my dilemma is actually quite interesting because there are 2 routes that I can take. The first is that I can save a transfer this week, and then I can reassess what I want to do next week. I would like to mention at this point in time that I'm almost certain that my transfer next week is going to be selling a Palace mid to buy Palmer. Now I'll explain why. So I mentioned that we won't have an idea of the FA Cup result before the deadline. So we'll be firing shots in the dark. I think irrespective of result, there's a good chance that Palace rest at least one of Sarr Eze in the midweek fixture after the FA Cup game, especially if they win. Who knows whether us both will start because they might be out partying. So I have no idea as to whether my Palace boys will be realistic options in game week 37, and then in game week 38 they have Liverpool away. So in game week 37 and game week 38, I have to strategically plan to remove my 2 Palace players. And I also think that I need to bring in Palmer in 37 as I look at him as the best captaincy option in 37 at home to Man United. Now the thing is that in order to afford that Palace mid to Palmer move, I will need to free up some funds. Now I can do that either this week by selling Saliba for, let's say, a Forest defender. But if I, let's say, get someone like an Aina or a Neco Williams for Saliba, I can play him over Konza, which gives me a better defender this week, and it allows me to move whichever mid that I want to Palmer next week. Or alternatively, I can save and decide to make a funding transfer next week. Now this is where Marmoush comes into play. If I feel as if Marmoush is an option next week, then I can hold him this week, and I can then hold him next week as well without having to worry about him, and I can just make the defensive transfer, which would give me a better defender this week. But if I feel as if Marmoush would be a transfer out in 37, then maybe in 37 I can sell Marmoush for a budget forward, and I can enable the Palace mid to Palmer move. So this is where I stand, and this is the dilemma which I have. And currently, I don't exactly have a strong opinion about it. Forest are the best clean sheet odds this week. I won't be too surprised to see Leicester score if I'm being honest. But the thing is that I will, irrespective, be making a transfer in 37 anyway to fund that transfer that I'm planning on doing, the Palace to Palmer one. As much as I would like to have 2 free transfers game week 38, because generally we tend to see rotation 38, I don't think I will be in that position either way. So yeah, I would like to hear your thoughts, and I would like to hear some comments in the chat as well.
Yeah, big man, I can see where you're coming from. Like, you need money to go Palace midfielder to Palmer. Question to you is, Marmoush down to what sort of price forward gets you Palmer? And Saliba down to Neco Williams, does that definitely get you Eze to Palmer, for example? It does. You got money in the bank.
It even gets me Sarr to Palmer if I wish to do that.
Is it? Great. Okay. And Marmoush would have to go down to how low?
Yeah, so with Marmoush, I would firstly need to sell Eze, not Sar. And then again, I think Eze's played more games when he's been available than Sar this season, which doesn't exactly feel great, because you must have noticed recently when Palace rotated, Sar was rotated, but Eze played. So that sort of gives me the indication that Eze is more likely to play again. I don't know, that logic might be flawed, but that is still some sort of consideration in my head. Uh, to answer your question, if I'm selling, let's say, Eze for Palmer, I would need a forward of 6.9 million or below. So
Okay.
that is still within the realms of possibility. I mean, there are plenty of options in that price range. Which says 6.7. Even if he rises, I don't think he's going to have a more than a double rise by the game week 37 deadline.
I don't know if I'm going to be selling Marmoush in 37, and it's so tricky. We won't see the FA Cup final minutes. That could go 120 minutes for Marmoush, and he might miss Bournemouth. But and by then, remember, City have probably wrapped up top 5, so they can rotate. I still think, though, I would hold Marmoush, and I would improve my backline this week. Martinez and Konza, both going to they're going to concede, right? Probably. I would sell Saliba and go Nico Williams, mate. I think. And bench Konza. I don't think you need Saliba for the run in. You've got Kivior anyway. And I'd get money out of a cash cow who is William Saliba at 6.3. I go to a Forest defender now this week.
Cheers. Dean?
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, I mean, you've made me think too. I mean, the fact you've put 2 Arsenal players on the bench and I've got Raya in goal makes me think I'm making the wrong call on that one. And Arsenal, so hard to call right now as to what we're going to get out of them. So I find that intriguing. But yeah, I think the Forest call is definitely a good one. But overall, mate, I think that, yeah, I mean, congrats on getting to the top 50k. Like that's been a real good push from you. I mean, you really you must have had like a hell of a second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I started off really poorly at the start of the season. I remember I was trailing you by quite a distance. I sort of picked up, I think, around game week 15, 16, was it?
Yeah.
And then it just sort of went really well. So, yeah, I'm glad it's worked out well.
Did you change anything, or do you feel like you've stuck to what you've always believed in playing the game?
So I'll give you an example. I mean, I got slated for picking the likes of Eze and Bruno earlier in the season, and I trusted them for a long period of time, and they weren't delivering. What happened in the second half of the season? Bruno got me a lot of points consistently when he was on form. He got me that, I don't know, it was 18, 19 pointer against Leicester as well. Eze has done consistently well. So nothing much has changed. Like literally, my approach has been the same, except for Wadine's just falling my way. So it's important to keep the rationale behind the decisions the same, because eventually I do believe that that most of the time luck does even out. And I sort of got lucky with the spacing of the blanks and doubles as well.
No, well done, mate. Well done. What do you guys think about Cole Palmer? Obviously, like last time out in the league, extremely good. The penalty was good for his confidence, but even apart from that, he was back on it. We finally heard him speak properly after that game too, and spoke in full sentences, which was good. And I mean, they've got a big end to the season here. This Newcastle match is huge,
isn't it? It really is. It really is
huge game. I've just said in the chat that someone asked me why I'm starting Livramento, and I said I don't think Chelsea will score. I think it'll be 4-0 Newcastle. Obviously, I'm a bit tongue in cheek there. But it's a good question. There's a lot on the line here, and Cole Palmer, given his performance last time out, is possibly somebody that. There I am sat there with Salah and Saka as big assets, taking up a lot of money in my team. And maybe Cole Palmer, with more to play for in the final weeks of the season, is a better pick.
And he's got Man United next week, boyhood Man United fan, Man United distracted, blah, blah, blah. And 38, Forest, who, yes, again, that's another big game. That could be who gets Champions League football. But Forest have been conceding lots of chances of late. They've not been the tight defence we expect from them. So I'm with Big Man and you, Dean. Like we've said for weeks, Palmer's a bad FPL asset.
Yeah.
But I believe in form. And we always knew there'd be a game that he turned it round. And he forget the penalty and the FPL points. We all watched that 90 minutes before the penalty and said, Palmer's turned a corner. And he absolutely did. So fair play for those looking at him. You could also go Palmer to Saka in game week 38. Game week 38, Saka has Southampton. If you want a big upside fixture, then Saka's perfect for 38. How many times do we see the last day of the season, Arsenal go and score 4 or 5 goals? They always do against when it doesn't matter. So worth noting there, and I'm with you there, big man. Having a plan this week to get Palmer in next for you works. And I totally think whether Palace win or lose, whether the game goes 90 or 120 minutes in the FA Cup, you don't want Eze Ansah with a game against Wolves 3 days later.
Or with a game against Liverpool in 38. So that is why I think it's worth selling both of them. Exactly.
Yeah, okay, nice. Guys, thank you for all your lovely comments. We'll try and get to a few. I'm going to show my team and then we'll talk captaincy. Big man, give us an appeal to like and subscribe, will you? Give us your best sell. Big man, tell the good people why they should subscribe.
Yeah, I think we've put in a lot of effort over the course of the season, so I'd be extremely grateful. In fact, all three of us would be extremely grateful if you could show some sort of support to us. It would mean the world to us if you could take us to 10K for the season. We're about 50 shots. If we could get close or hit that mark by tomorrow's deadline, we're doing a deadline stream as well. That's something additionally we've added. So if you would like to show your support, it would be massively appreciated.
Thank you, mate. You
sound you on the shopping channel before you know it, big man.
I reckon Big Man is one of the nicest people I know, and he's so sincere, so genuine, and so nice. Big Man asking you to do something, I feel like you lot might react better to it than like cheap car salesman me telling you to subscribe. So thanks, Big Man.
It's funny. It's like
Dean, you're somewhere in between.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like living in America now, and like sometimes you go into like even like a Starbucks or something, and somebody says, "Have a great day," and they sound like they actually mean it. Like Big Man, that was very sincere in the way that you talk to everybody there. That's very funny.
Yeah. I know what you mean there about Americans. Yeah, they do. They feel it. They actually want you to have a good day.
Feel it.
In England,
they
we
live
don't
on
even
tip,
say
that's
have
why.
a good day.
They live on tips.
We don't even say have a good day, do we? Like we just walk out in England. And in Italy, everyone says it too. It's buona giornata, buona giornata. You hear it all, and you can hear it in the voice. They mean it. Right, let's get back to my team. I'm on bench boost, guys. The bench boost is active. Now, it's not the sexiest of bench boosts. Double Bournemouth, Kluivert and Kepa. Livramento, you guys are starting. He's on my bench, fine. Probably concedes. And Aït-Nouri gives me a bit of upside. This is the weakest chip. I've never been that fussed about it. It was always going to be 36 was my plan. Double game week, single game week. It was always going to be 4 single game weekers. And if I get 15, 20 points, I'm happy. My big decision this week is I haven't made the transfer yet, but we can see Elanga on screen there. I'm going to go Murphy to Elanga. That will actually leave me still with 1 free transfer. So on bench boost, you might think, Gianni, use your 2 free transfers. I could sell Livramento, but genuinely, there's not a standout defender to buy this week, and I don't want to use a transfer on it. I'm just going to play Livramento. I could buy a Nottingham Forest defender and not buy Elanga, but I really fancy Elanga versus Leicester as a sort of high upside. He's had, I think, 4 big hauls this season. He could just get his 5th. He either blanks or he goes massive Elanga. He doesn't get 6 pointers. He gets 2s or he gets 11s. Guys, would you sell Livramento to a defender who's probably not going to keep a clean sheet, or would you roll for next week, meaning I can be flexible to get to a Palmer or a Haaland or whoever I might want to get to?
Gianni, I'll take that question. So no defender, no team actually this week has a higher clean sheet probability than Forest, and even Forest are 46%. So that's less than 50% chance. I generally think that the Newcastle could keep Chelsea out. Chelsea away from home still don't exactly convince me. Newcastle at home are very, very strong. So this could be a game where it ends up as a Newcastle win or draw. I won't be totally surprised to see Livramento do something in this fixture, especially when saving the transfer allows you to get a much higher upside differential next week. It's a no-brainer generally.
Yeah, thanks, mate. No, last week you might remember, guys, I was tempted to use that second free transfer to sell Livramento to an Everton defender. Well, Everton conceded 2 against was it Ipswich. So I'm glad I sat on that. And I think this point in the season, it's really hard to predict clean sheets, especially for teams like Everton who have less to play for. So that's where I'm at. It will be just a Elanga in. I'm going to roll the second transfer. Captaincy. I'm on De Bruyne, right? If I hear De Bruyne's, we could get a leak saying De Bruyne doesn't start. That would force my hand to a sell, and then I would maybe go De Bruyne to a Bowen, or I haven't even thought about that. I need to work out the eventuality of if I hear a leak that either Marmoush or De Bruyne isn't starting, and everyone should have this plan that owns Marmoush or De Bruyne, because we will get City team leaks tomorrow, and they will be very close to the deadline. Have a plan, because if I hear De Bruyne is not starting or Marmoush isn't starting, I ain't interested in keeping them for 37. They're gone. I need them starting this week. So have a plan in place. But I'm confident on a Marmoush start. I'm probably 95% sure of a Marmoush start, 80% sure of a De Bruyne start. So it should be good.
Yeah, I mean, the pattern that we're seeing from De Bruyne, there's no reason to suggest he's not going to start, given the way that he's been playing him, and there's still no change. Look, I think City should reconsider keeping De Bruyne. Now that we're starting to see serious interests from a couple of Premier League rivals and Napoli teams, there's some big teams here are ready to sign him. He's starting for you. He's your captain. They'd just be well, maybe we just keep him one more year. Maybe we should just not do that. So we'll wait to see whether City U-turn or whether they are stubborn on it. There was a question earlier, G. Bench boost 36 versus bench boost 37. I guess it depends who your fixtures are, doesn't it? Of what you're left with.
Yeah, it depends what that bench is. For me, I did look at it, but for me, because I've got double Bournemouth, it meant that you can see there, Kepa and Kluivert, home to Aston Villa in 36, away to City 37, and that was what flipped it for me. There wasn't much between, say, an 8-Nori or a Livramento fixture or a Collins. It was the Bournemouth guys. It depends who your 4 are, guys. But for me, 36 works. One thing I would say about bench boost, do not do it in 38. 38 always comes up with weird teams. A couple of teams go really weird on teams, on managers will pick the kids or whatever. There's no banker there in game week 38 for all the regulars to be starting. There'll be 1 or 2 names that miss out. Guys, let's talk captaincy. Come away from my team. Where are we at? Big man, you mentioned Burmo. Are you 100% set on that?
100%. Yeah, I'm not going to change that for sure.
Dean, where are you at?
I'm definitely not going Marmoush. So if I go City player, it's Gvardiol. If I get too scared, it'll be Mbermo. If I land somewhere in between and want a differential, then it'll be Isak.
Ooh, okay. Wow. I'm on De Bruyne, but I could very easily go in Mbermo. In terms of projected goals, Big Man, talk us through this graphic. Man City, as always, well, not always, but they are expected to score more than any other team. Brentford, however, they're still expected to go fairly big.
Yeah, I mean, City, you'd expect that from City against Southampton. The only problem is that their scorers generally are, they're different, and it's we haven't really seen a talisman from City this season, apart from Haaland in the initial parts of the season, for the first 9-10 game weeks. We struggle to see them. They've spread their goals. Whereas with Brentford, 73% of their goals this season have been scored or assisted by Wissa and Mpomo. So that's actually great for those who have that double up. Chris Wood is someone who could potentially be an alternative to Wissa. I would certainly like to talk about him. For a lot of people who are considering replacing Mateta, I think Wood is also a strong alternative. I don't think there's much between Wissa or Wood for the rest of the season. Their fixtures are relatively similar-ish in terms of difficulty. I think it eventually comes down to what you're chasing. For example, if your rival owns Wissa, you can go for Wood or vice versa. But I think both of them are really, really strong and options to end the season.
Yeah, I agree on Wood, and I've been tempted by it this week. His run hasn't been great in terms of getting points. Since game week 25, when he got 9 points against Fulham, he hasn't had barely any good returns. He had one against Tottenham 3 weeks ago when he got 8 points, but he kind of fell off a cliff after a brilliant run of games, which kind of saved my season to some extent, because I was on Chris Wood early and managed to hoover up all of his points. So that was quite handy. So over the course of the season, Chris Wood's been great, but on form, Vissa's got the edge, I think. They've both got plenty to play for too. Forest, obviously, I think they'll be probably upset at this point if they don't make Champions League, given they've been spent so much time hovering in and around it. But Brentford themselves are chasing Europe, and they've got a lot of motivation to make it. Good fixtures, London derby against Fulham next week as well. So I still think that I would edge towards Wissa over Wood, even though over the course of the season, I think Wood has been better. Good
summary there, Dean. Yeah. The entry point for Wood is so enticing because it is better than Wissa's just. But every player we buy now isn't for, we've got to remember, you're probably not buying anyone and then selling that player. You're carrying that player for the final 3 weeks. Wissa over Wood for 3 weeks. Hands down for me. Big man, people that don't own Mbeumo, should they captain Wissa or should they captain their Man City forward?
I think it's a coin flip, literally. Yeah. I think if Marmoush is starting as the forward, I would be tempted to go for Marmoush. But I think, Wissa is a really, really strong alternative. But I think if you don't own Mbeumo, you have to ensure that you bring him in this week with whatever you have at your disposal. So I think he's a bit of a must-have this week.
I just don't know if we're going to get a De Bruyne leak this week. Like the leakers always drip feed. Like they might give you 2 or 3 names. The big name everyone wants to know about tomorrow is De Bruyne. Is Haaland and possibly Marmoush. Like we're going to get Haaland benched or Haaland starts. And we might not get any other player. We might get a Marmoush leak. True. I'm worried we don't get a De Bruyne leak. And if we don't get a De Bruyne leak, one, I'm going to be worried he'll be benched. But mainly, I don't think I can captain him. So I'll end up going in Mbeumo, which I'm happy with, but I just feel like at my rank I need to chase a little.
Yeah, it's a big week for you, G. And you got a good team there. You got your bench booster in play. Like this could be a season-changing week for you if KDB does start.
Do you know what? Because I've been backing against the template. Like my team is very different to say Bigmans. Like I don't have any Arsenal players. The template is 2. I have no Crystal Palace. The template is 3. For the last few weeks, I watch it and go, oh, I'm going to struggle to beat the template. This week, my team is way better than the template. And I'm on a bench boost. I don't want to muck it up and get way better points. And then Mbeumo goes and gets 15 points and I haven't captained him and the template has. Maybe it's safer just to play against the template with every other decision, but actually go safer with captaincy. So that might be where I end up. And we'll talk more about that in the morning show, guys. We are going to go live on Chasing Green Arrows at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow. Really early start. The deadline's not till 1:30, but we want to do a Q&A about you guys. So if you've asked a question today, sorry we haven't answered it, but we almost certainly will answer it tomorrow. We will do hundreds of questions tomorrow. So come by, set a notification, hit that notification bell, and we'll be live between 8 and 9 a.m. Dean, give us your best like and subscribe before we say see you later.
Oh, people are sick of me saying like and subscribe, and they keep threatening to unsubscribe, but don't do that. Definitely give us a shout out. And there's only a few weeks left. We have appreciated you all. We've had a great season, and we want it to carry on. If you don't subscribe, I might quit FPL. So let's just leave it at that. Does that work? Bribery work? Maybe people want me to leave. Maybe people are like, oh, that's handy.
Someone said earlier, I'll subscribe.
There you go. Malaki said, oh, I'm subscribing. There you go.
Dean will be up at midnight. Yeah, Dean, we'll see you on Monday for our normal review show. Big man, any final thoughts from you?
Not really. I'm just hoping that the rest of the season remains stress-free. It's been a great season partying with you guys. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. A big thank you to everyone for following. A big thank you to our production team for ensuring that this can happen. A lot of effort goes in behind the scenes, so I would like to thank them as well. Best of luck for the game week, and we will catch you all tomorrow.
Good stuff. On that note, guys, we'll see you in the morning.